Today we are going to return to the Hindu pantheon and film a really important video. This video will have a simple topic, and the topic of this video is the importance of sadhana, the importance of devotion, and we will also discuss why majority of Western initiates into Hindu tantric paths fail. So technically, when you initiate into a particular tantric tradition, it's not what you think it is. In majority of the Western mindset and the Western spiritual tradition, especially modern Western spiritual tradition, initiation isn't seen in the same manner as in Hinduism. Hindus have different views regarding initiation, and the view of initiation in Hinduism is much different than the view of initiation in the Western esoteric tradition. So let us examine that difference. In the Western esoteric tradition, initiation is seen as simply attunement to the energetic current of the particular deity or spiritual path, which means that you, in the Western spiritual tradition, can initiate, work with spirits for a bit, work with spirits for a while, and then go. That's not the case in Hindu spirituality. In Hindu spirituality, the schools of thought are divided by the patron gods of that school of thought. So when you initiate, you make unwritten pact with that deity. You make unwritten agreement. Let me give you an example. So if you initiate into Shaivism, you make unwritten pact with Shiva. If you initiate into Vaishnavism, you make unwritten pact with Vishnu. If you make your initiation into Shaktism, you make unwritten pact with different in aspects of Shakti, of Devi. So once you are initiated, you technically have an agreement with the deity. You technically have an agreement with ancient manifestation of the divine, ancient manifestation of the all. So initiation into Hinduism has to be taken really seriously, because there are underlying pieces of that unwritten agreement with Hindu gods, which many Westerners are not aware of. So when you get initiated into a particular tradition through a grace of a guru and you get connected to certain divinity of the Hindu faith, of the Hindu pantheon, you are expected by that deity to perform daily sadhana to that deity and daily devotion. And when you stop doing that daily devotion and daily rituals, deity, that primordial energy, emanation of the Brahman, emanation of the all, has full right to punish you. Because through receiving the gift of initiation, you made an unwritten agreement that you will do sadhana to that specific spirit, with that specific spirit. You agreed that you will do with that specific spiritual energy rituals, mantras, invocations, that you will attune yourself to the spiritual realm of that manifestation and emanation of the divine. So this brings us to another question. Each spirit of the Hindu pantheon has different required devotional operations and sadhanas from the devotees. So Kali will not require the same thing as Vishnu. Shiva will not require the same thing as Rama. Hanuman will not require the same thing as, for example, Saraswati. Each spirit will require separate aspects of the self to be cultivated, and each spirit will require different form of devotion and dedication. So, considering that majority of Westerners want to get initiated into Hinduism, that's a really big trend. I need to say that I personally have nothing against Westerners and Europeans studying Hinduism. Actually, I studied myself heavily. But we need to understand what is initiation. We need to understand that it is unwritten pact. It is unwritten covenant between spirits, emanation of the Brahman who initiates, and a devotee who is initiated. So in this part of the video I need to expose one really prevalent problem in the westernized version of Hinduism, which is sold in the West today. The biggest problem, in my opinion, of that westernized version of Hinduism, which is sold to us today, is really, how can I say, destructive, malefic, and purposefully uninformed approach this westernized version of Hinduism have towards initiation. To majority of people who get initiated into spiritual traditions of Eastern spirituality, they get initiated, they have nice experience, they have Kundalini awakening, they merge with certain deity during the initiation, they awaken the certain aspects of the self, and then they simply do nothing about it. They do not proceed with adequate mantras, with adequate rituals on a daily basis, and it results in their entire life falling apart. The reason why you have so many Western yoga practitioners, Western practitioners of meditation who claim to work with chakras and things, the reason why their life is so shitty and why it's all falling apart is because they usually initiate into some Eastern tradition, and then they technically do not proceed with adequate devotional rituals and spiritual practices which correspond to deity in question, to the deity who is the main deity of tradition they are initiated with. For example, majority of Westerners initiate either into Shaivism or Vaishnavism. More of them initiate into Shaivism. I do not understand why Shaivism is so popular in the West. I can tell you why I am attracted to Shiva, but that's not topic of this video. So they got initiated into Shaivism, they received the initiation through a guru, and then they simply don't proceed with adequate practices. What happens then is the energy of Shiva starts destroying and obliterating the aspect of their life. But because they don't understand what's happening and they don't proceed with adequate practices, their entire life burns away and they kind of became lost, and they never reach significant spiritual progress, and their life also goes to shit. And that's something which I saw so many times. And that's really sad to see, that's really sad to understand, and that's really sad to witness. So my advice for all of the people who got initiated into any form of Hindu tradition is to perform mantras and meditations and sadhanas and bhakti regularly, and to understand that when you are initiated, you technically, in a way, merge with the initiatory deity. And through that merging received via initiation, you also made an unwritten pact. And breaking that unwritten pact is extremely dangerous. So, for example, if you initiate into any form of Shiva worship, any form of Shaivism, you agreed to emulate Lord Shiva for multiple lifetimes. If you initiate into Vaishnavism, you agreed to emulate Lord Vishnu for multiple lifetimes, etc. So you need to be really careful into what you are initiating, because ask yourself a question. Do I want to emulate that spirit for multiple lifetimes? If the answer is yes, initiate into tradition. If the answer is no, don't initiate into tradition. People need to be really careful how and why they are initiating into certain spiritual traditions. I need to give you my own story. I want all of you to learn from this short story. So I came into contact with the Ion World Foundation, as you all already know, and I worked through their Abhichara tantric material according to their instructions. And I started merging with 3 entities from that book. I started merging with Rakashi Lakini, Ayani Lavaliangatisaman, and Pishacha Mayalakan. So those 3 spirits. And I also later, according to the instruction of Ion World Foundation, started merging with Kali too. At one point, after my initiation, become overwhelmed with energy. And I really became tired because of the intensity of the work. So I stopped performing my daily rituals and my daily operations with the spirits mentioned. What happened as a result of that is my life started falling apart. And it started falling apart in non-beneficial way. And it started destroying everything really badly. Until those spirits came to me and told me that by performing the initiation, I made an unwritten pact with them. That's how initiations work in Hinduism, and in reality, they also told me to share this message with others, because I think this is really important. Because no guru who thought in the West gives this warning. I am far from a guru, I am not a guru, but please guys be careful regarding initiations. And thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.